In today's video, we'll be looking at Brandt Destined 1 Impauldio. So same as always, we'll go through the cards one by one, give our thoughts and first impressions, and we'll rate the deck, how it will fare in the meta, and give some suggestions on the cards you may use. But in this video, we'll read the cards alternating because of my voice. Destined 1 of Exceedance Impauldio. Act on Vanguard Circle once per turn. CB1, choose a card from your drop and put it face up as your self-modification gauge. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck and choose up to one grade 3 or less card from among them. Call it to rear. And then shuffle. This unit gets auto on Vanguard Circle. All of your front row units get +5 for every 2 of your gauges until end of turn.
I have scaling.
Yeah, scaling, bro. Bro got the mini crest. Pseudo crest.
Modification gauges.
So divine skill, act Vanguard Circle if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater and you have 4 or more gauges. CB1, discard a card from your hand and this unit gets +1 crit and +2
Crit
drive
and
to end of
2
turn.
drive. Wow. That's like Luard. That the
Yeah, so the divine skill is +1, not including the drives. But you get crit pressure and 4 drives.
And
That's a lot of drives.
yeah. Self-modification gauge, so +5 for every 2. So what makes that happen is this token. We have a new token again. System code Exceed. This represents a system code Exceed token and cannot be put in a deck. So it's a separate card. So it will not affect your ratios in the deck. So Count Order Zone, you cannot ride a grade 3 or greater without Impauldio and their card names, and you may have self-modification gauges. So it's exclusive to this deck, I guess. And then Auto in the Order Zone, when a card is put into your damage zone during your opponent's turn, choose a card from drop and put it face up as your self-modification gauge. Then if you have 3 or less self-modification gauges and your card other than trigger unit was revealed for this damage check, choose one of your vanguards and it gets +5 until end of turn. And if you have 4 or more, choose one of your vanguards and it gets +5 until end of turn. So it's essentially +5 if you don't get a trigger if you have less than 3 self-modification gauges. And if you have more than 3, you have guaranteed +5 even if you check a trigger. So
+15. That's actually so big.
yeah,
2 triggers, you're already at 30k.
38.
But 4 or more gauges, so you have to be at 4 damage unless you use your Vanguard's skill. So
Yeah, you can get one every turn.
yeah, so okay, so 1 every turn from your Vanguard's ability.
Yeah. So yeah, you're scaling essentially with counterblast, but it's a counterblast, so it's kind of limited.
Yeah, and one thing to note is that it's a set order, but it counts as a token. So since it's a token, it doesn't take up space in the deck, unlike other Brandt decks that has to run 4 of a set order, and it will clog up the deck. But this one, you just get it from the ride line, so it's like a crest.
Yeah. Exceed.
Then number 3, or the grade 2 in the ride line, Dora's Evolia. When ruled upon by grade 3 Impauldio, put the top card of your deck as face up as your self-modification gauge. Then choose one of your self-modification gauges and add it to hand.
So I guess this is just to get whatever if you don't want it in the gauge.
Yeah.
I actually thought this would add to your gauge. Thought was maybe you can build your gauge pretty easily, but it requires you to put 1 into hand. So
yeah, so it just acts like a +1.
So the next we have the grade 1 of the ride line. So when this unit is placed by riding from a grade 0 unit, for cost, reveal a grade 3 card with Impauldio in its card name from ride deck, and put a system code Exceed token into your order zone. So it's like the ride lines where you just get the crest from the grade 1. You have to reveal an Impauldio though, so
yeah, so
you cannot use this.
Yeah, people cannot cheese it, like they can
Yeah.
abuse it in other decks. Then this is just the starter, false starter.
Okay, so we have the triple rare here. Flying Conversion Binster. During your turn, if you have two or regard circle during your turn, if you have two or more self modification gauges, this unit gets +5. And if you have 8 or more self modification gauges, this unit's drive cannot decrease from card effects. So when I first read this, it already hints that it will perform drives. And then we have the auto skill on rear guard circle. When this unit attacks, if you have 4 or more self modification gauges and no drive checks were performed for the battle your rear guard attacked this turn, cost counterblast 1, and until end of battle, this unit performs drive checks
Also,
and gets drive -1. And then at the end of battle, you bind it.
also you have to at least have 3 damage and then 1 gauges from your vanguard, to achieve the skill.
Yeah, to achieve the skill. I feel like, I don't know, maybe they should have made the 8 modification gauges like lower. I feel like that's too high.
Yeah.
You're probably like not going to be able to use this in the game in this meta right now.
Maybe you like
Because
Koshiro this
the meta is pretty fast right now.
Maybe they're just cautious.
They're being cautious a little bit.
But yeah, 8 gauges, so you have to take, if you take 5 damage,
It's 5.
you have to have 3 grade 3 turns. So on your 3rd grade 3 turn,
Yeah.
before you can get
so
this. I mean, you can reach it, but at that
that's
point,
that's at deck out range right there.
it's probably your final turn, either for you
Yeah.
or your
Or your opponent.
yeah, you're either ending yourself or your opponent. But I guess you can manage. You can find a way to.
Also, you can probably get more heals because of the divine skill. You probably have a higher chance to get a heal in the game because you have 4 drives.
True. So you can just oh yeah, that's true. So you can continue to get more gauges. So getting a heal is actually big here. So you can so your skills get live early. One is Nebula Invoke Dragon. When this unit attacks, so +1, this gets +5. If you have 5 or more gauges, gets +15 instead of 5. And Count Guardian Circle, if you have 4 or more gauges, this gets +15,000 shield.
Ooh.
So big attacker and big shield boy.
20k.
25.
And unlike Alden, it can used to guard from hand.
Actually, also this helps you a lot on achieving your high gauge account. 25k attacker, 20,000 shield. Seems pretty good.
Yeah.
Basic skill but pretty efficient or effective. Effective but simple.
Yeah. You get power and you get shield from one card. So next we have the grade 1. Rare grade 1. I don't even know how to pronounce this. Gather 2 or something like that.
It's actually reminds me of Wally.
Yeah. Or like names from Star Wars or something. So this only has 1 skill. During your turn, if you have 4 or more self-modification gauges, this unit gets plus 10k.
Yeah,
So
simple
18k booster.
Yeah,
Or
just
getting 4 or more.
Pretty good actually. I don't know
You
if you
get
have
big
space,
numbers.
though. Just 18k on itself.
Yeah, without any cost. So as long as it's not retired, you have 18k every time. It can also be an 18k attacker.
Spacewalk Dragon. At the end of the battle, this unit boosts. If you have 2 or more gauges, put this into soul. Choose one of your opponent's grade 1 or less regards and retire it. Seems
Soul and retire. So you pretty good actually.
Yeah, like
it's a target. It's a target retire.
Simple and effective skill again. Put the soul. So you have 1 soul, and the cost is pretty easy. Like you only need 2, or the condition is very achievable since it's only 2 self-modification gauges.
Yeah, and you also put it into soul, so you're kind of not losing much.
Yeah, you actually
With that skill.
So for the cards you can use, actually can't think of any card that synergizes really well.
Yeah.
But I can only think of like the same as Scatter or the Alden one, the basic generics of Brandt Gate, their best generics like the Cycler. If the Energy Cycler, you can do it for the draw. But
Yeah.
also the second skill, you can search a Persona Ride, but you don't have to search set order. But at least you can search Persona Ride, since for the Soul one,
Yeah.
the Soul Cyclers, Habitable Zone.
Habitable Zone.
Yeah, you can. It costs Soul, and you can only search set orders. So
Yeah.
it's not really good. So probably the Energy Blitz or Energy Cycler, since this deck does not use energy. And then
Yeah, and it's.
next
Oh
card.
yeah, I didn't even know it's a target search.
Yeah,
You just CB1 to search.
yeah.
Oh wait, no, it's a grade 3 or greater card with a different card name from your Vanguard.
Oh wait, also you can't search Persona, but you can search
You can
the
search
grade
the
3
drive
boy.
checking boy.
Yeah, so it's still pretty good actually.
Yeah.
Sermia. Then
You got Battery too.
yeah, Baldurade. So you probably won't be able to use the first skill, since it needs your order zone to have 2 or more set orders to get +5. But the second skill is still good at the end of the battle. It boosted if your order zone have a set order, which XC does count as a set order. Put it into
Yeah.
Soul. Put this into Soul. Look at top 5 cards of your deck. Choose up to 1 grade 2 or greater unit, or up to 1 set order from among them. Add it to your hand. So another Searcher plus Soul again. Consistency.
Yeah.
So you can use Bobal Mine as well, since
You do use a lot of CB. I actually saw one card that on Twitter, or X as you might call it now.
yes.
I saw a guy. There's a Brandt Gate that guard restricts for a counterblast 1.
Oh.
It costs counterblast, so I'm not sure how if it will be used, because it's kind of costly for just a guard restrict.
Great, like 2 cards or more.
Yeah,
Then I have.
and they cannot call blitz orders if I remember correctly. Yeah, so that's pretty good.
So Kansas South Elementaria or other blitz.
I hope I remember that correctly. I'm not sure.
We're gonna double check that. Gonna try
Double
to
check
find
that.
card.
Yeah.
Then I also saw one combo in Twitter. I don't think it's gonna be used. It's kind of gimmicky, but you never know, I guess. So it's combining. It's using Fighting Dragon, Goldog Dragon together with Inciting Monster Trafficon. So Goldog Dragon's skill is when this card is discarded from hand during your turn. If you have a set order in your order zone, CB1 and call this to rear. And then Trafficon allows you to discard a card. So when this unit boosts, discard a card from your hand. Choose one of your vanguards. It gets +2 for every 2 grades of that unit. So
Oh, so it's an extra attack.
yeah, so like Trafficon's only use is to boost, give your vanguard like 2k, and then discard Goldog, CB1 call Goldog. But
I mean,
that's like a lot though. Like you have to run both of these cards in your deck, and then
and you have to get them both.
you have to get them both. You need to use the CB. I don't know.
Yeah. It's, I don't know.
You can just have fun with this, I guess, if you can try it out. Like
Yeah,
I see a lot of people saying it on Twitter, but they're not saying it's good. They're just like suggesting it, or they're just spreading it out there, so people
Yeah.
know.
It's gimmicky, but I like the imagination.
Yeah, very creative. Like
The
that's actually
creativity.
cool.
Yeah, that they got to think of that on release as well. Just releasing yesterday.
So that's it for the support cards. What are your thoughts on this deck?
To be honest, like, as contrasting as it may sound, I think this is one of the like weaker ones in here. But this is also the one that I want to play the most.
Actually,
Like,
this is the most interesting. Honestly, for me, this is one of the most interesting decks so far.
out of all the decks that we've covered in the or that has released, out of all the Destined ones, this is the one that like I'm excited to play.
Yeah, like it's actually this like peak game design.
Yeah.
They actually because it's just so different from other decks. And I like
Yeah.
how they made the set order a token card instead of just another set order, so it doesn't take space.
Doesn't clog up your deck, so you can run more pieces. As for the rating, maybe it hurts to say this, but I think I will consider the meta as well right now, or like probably predicting the meta on that time. I feel like it's still going to be pretty fast. I'm not sure how this is going to keep up with the like really fast decks like Shojodoji. Shiranui is actually really fast now too. Eva's actually also fast now. Like the lyrical decks like Lutetia. Lutetia's actually sort of fast too.
Yeah.
And this one scales, but it costs a lot to scale. So I feel like because of that, I might have to rate him C.
C, the first ever C. Well,
My first C.
like you rate Alden B to C, but like this is the first actual C.
Yeah, this is the actual first C that I'm seeing.
Oh.
You have to actually, although they do get pretty big, and you also get drive checks from your what they call this, from your grade 3, but yeah, at the end of the day, I think it's weaker than the 3 deck so far.
Like it actually doesn't have multi-attack,
Yeah,
so it gets a lot of drives. You get a lot of
power as well.
yeah. I feel like it's one of those decks where you can just steal games because of
Yeah.
the amount of drive checks you have with the
Yeah,
crit, 4 drives with the divine skill.
yeah, and your drive checking grade 3. Actually, if you somehow reach that 8 gauges, you can perform 6 drives in one turn,
Yeah.
which is kind of crazy.
More chance to check Eldobret.
The best OT in the game.
Yeah, so sometimes you just lose to this deck randomly.
Yeah,
Because you can't just keep on PGing cards unless you're Luard or Rizio
yeah,
or something. But I think this is the right direction for a 3 attack deck though.
yeah.
This is probably the best 3 attack deck.
So far right now. Yeah,
There's not a lot. Well, actually, there's probably
Bloodsaga?
more multi-attack decks, but yeah, like the other deck that I can only think of is Bab
yeah.
that can compare to the power level. But
And,
this might be.
Gimmick.
Is this better? Like, kind of better than Bab?
Yeah, it's I think Bav, or I don't know, maybe if you can, arguably maybe, for me it's probably the same for me,
Yeah.
because Bav gets crit. This one only gets the crit on its divine skill, by the way. So on the other turns where you don't have your divine skill, you'll be hitting for big numbers but without crit and just 2 drives. 3 if you have the grade 3. But or maybe yeah, I feel like I rate it the same because this one gets drive, but Bav gets that if you recycle the one arm, then you get crit every turn, crit pressure.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So, for me, I'm checking. I guess it does have power with the other units, especially with Nebula Invoke, or if you use the Wall-E looking dude, or the Wall-E, the robot cleaner in space. Gather 2/2. I guess you have decent power, so
Yeah.
you have decent plussing, you have drives. The grade 3 is a 18k.
Yeah, if you think about it, the grade 2 is 25 on its own, 35 with Persona, plus 18 from Gather 2, then that's
Yeah, so although this is the
pretty
most
much.
interesting deck I recently, like out of all the releases, I think this is one of the most interesting decks for me, and
yeah, same.
it's just very new.
The guarding the defensive mechanic is so simple, but kinda nice.
Yeah, reminds me of the Link Joker card. Like it's an old Link Joker card with the angel, like dragon. Like the limit break skill is like when you take a damage, it gets +2 or something like that. It's used in premium. I forgot the name, Star Vader something. It's kind of like that, but this one's obviously like more refined version.
Yeah.
But
More,
I rate this as B tier probably. So I guess I'm
oh,
more
your
generous.
first B.
I'm more generous on the rating. Yeah, B tier for sure though. For it's like the other decks are for sure better. Because
Yeah.
just because of the lack of multi attack,
Yeah,
The
and it costs a
scaling,
lot of CB.
it's a bit slower.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this doesn't have much of a early game. So B
Yeah, and if you
tier.
think about it, the +5 also B. The +5 is also kinda iffy as well because, for example, against Shiranui, if you get the +5, his 90. If he calls a grade 2, his 19k will still hit. So like,
But it's still good in a way because instead of dropping 10k, which sometimes is
yeah,
awkward,
just dropping
you just
5,
have to drop one card, 5.
which is why you can run the cycler.
Oh yeah, true. Then you just draw. So, any closing remarks?
I have no closing remarks other than I kind of want to play this deck.
Yeah, actually,
I just wanna test it out, you know.
yeah, it's actually interesting. Maybe we can make a video where we try these decks in Garfight area or a simulator or something.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'll try out the Destined ones and record some. So
Mm-hmm.
that's it for this video. Thank you for watching.